This week, ministers like Jess Phillips have finally been exposed over their hypocrisy on the grooming gang epidemic. But one man, not even in the country right now, is finally facing his long overdue accountability. That man is our Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. And if he hadn't said it enough already, Starmer was the head of the Crown Prosecution Service from 2009 to 2013. For years, under his watch, the CPS covered up, buried its head in the sand and turned the other cheek to countless victims of sexual assault and grooming rape gangs. Why? All for the sake of diversity. Starmer himself admitted that his authorities were too scared to prosecute grooming gangs because they were afraid of being called racist. In one of the most devastating cases, in 2009, 9 months after Keir Starmer had taken the helm of the CPS, they abandoned a case against a rape gang in Manchester. A victim of one of those gangs was then discredited by the CPS even after she provided DNA evidence to the police. Shocking. The CPS lawyer in charge of this case, however, decided that the victim was not a credible witness and that a jury wouldn't believe her. Can you believe that? This forced Greater Manchester Police to halt its entire investigation into grooming gangs. It then took 2 years for Starmer's CPS to review its original decision on that case and charge the suspects. A further year later, Sir Keir finally decided to do something and implement reforms at the CPS. But how have those reforms gone? Well, the Warwick Academic's final findings report slammed lawyers at the CPS for still using victim-blaming language about rape complainants and failing to take seriously child sexual assault allegations to this day. This is 2024, everybody. It's as clear as day to me that Keir Starmer is incompetent, negligent and utterly ineffective. Under his watch, the CPS allowed child rapists to roam free in our country, and innocent victims were denied justice, not forgetting his utterly useless reforms. That man shouldn't be allowed within 10 feet of Downing Street, let alone the civil service. And I haven't even got the time to cover the multitude of other failures under his watch, including the failure to prosecute predators like Jimmy Savile, Mohammed Al-Fayed, as well as the post office scandal, all under his time in the CPS. But to top it all off, Keir Starmer received a knighthood for his catastrophic leadership. Arise, Sir Keir Starmer. What a disgrace our system is. The time for excuses is over. The world is watching now. We can no longer afford to simply accept apologies and useless reforms any longer. Those officials who knew about this scandal and utterly failed to act, must be jailed. They must be jailed for their complicity. And those who turned a blind eye or conveniently didn't know this was happening under their watch, well, they should be permanently banned from ever holding a position of power in politics or government ever again. Now, Pete, I want to come to you first, because whilst I've obviously been very brutal about Keir Starmer and the Labour Party here, we can't forget the Tories oversaw 14 years of failure on this topic and have done nothing to implement the independent inquiry to child sexual assault.
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. I think the Conservatives have been absolutely abhorrent on this. I think there's an institutional problem from top to bottom. I think it's evil through and through. But there have been individuals within the Conservative Party that have been trying to get as much reform and get this issue put out there. There was a Conservative councillor that came forward today, Liam Billington in Tameside, which is a Labour-controlled area, and he was silenced, he was shut down. This is the point, is that where things have happened, there has been a dominance of one party or one group of people to put this down, to keep this quiet. And that's what's most concerning about this, is the conspiracy behind it.
Peter, it's not enough, though, is it?
No,
it's not
it's
enough.
definitely
I mean, these are all
it's
excuses. It's all very good and well to say that the Tories, there's a multitude of parties involved. It's the uniparty all over again, isn't it, Renee?
It is the uniparty, and what really worries me about this is we keep talking about it, with due respect, Peter, I know it's easy to do, in the past tense. And that really upsets me, because this is not in the past tense. This is going on now. Girls are being damaged, girls are being raped, girls are being abused, as we sit here today. And what worries me is when neither are we addressing the elephant in the room as to why there was systemic failure, why people were ignoring it, why people were being told to shut up. The answer is very simple. They would have been accused of being Islamophobic. And that's what we need to get over.
Well, Kai, just before we come to Adam on this, because I'm really interested to hear what Adam has to say. Come on. I mean, Labour have failed miserably. Jess Phillips has let the country down again, despite sitting on her moral high horse. Am I right?
You're completely wrong. I've not heard that amount of guff for a long time. To place this at Sir Keir Starmer's door is abhorrent, frankly. Now, we all know there's a long list of people who were complicit in covering up these crimes. Keir Starmer is not one of those. Now, let me just roll it back a bit. The gangs expose originally in 2011 by The Times, right? 17 prosecutions that came out of those 17 gang examples. 14 of those were started by Sir Keir Starmer when he was at the CPS. Just before he left the CPS, he was the one to implement guidance stopping women and, well, girls and children. Let me finish.
Guidance has done nothing.
But the guidance was there, and it's the right thing to do, and he recognised that. He's the one who put Nazir Afzal in a key position to try and bring together a network of prosecutors to focus on child sexual abuse. So to put it at his door is ridiculous.
Adam, what do you think of what's been going on here?
This is one of, if not the biggest scandal that this country has ever seen. Young girls, not just groomed, but raped. Now, I'm a father of 2 daughters. I couldn't tell you what I would do to people that ever tried this with my daughters. This is so horrific, and the fact that communities were not coming together and ending this is also a scandal. Now, there's reports of hundreds of thousands of victims, possibly. That is shocking. Now, one thing I would like to say is if it wasn't for people like Tommy Robinson and Maggie Oliver and some other whistleblowers, we would not know the true extent to this. So it's great that people like Elon Musk are now putting this to the world, because we need to go down every avenue to find out who facilitated it and why they did that.
Well, I think that's a really interesting point, because I think what Elon Musk does in this, whether you like him or not, is he's turned the rock over and it can't be turned back.
That's very true, but there is a much bigger conversation to have here, and that is institutional decline. Trust in our institutions is gone now.
OK, guys, sorry, we're going to have to wrap it up there. Grooming gang whistleblower Maggie Oliver, she's all over the Daily Mail today, so please give it a read. But she's going to be joining us tonight live at 7 p.m. for our big interview, just after 7 p.m. But in a statement provided to GB News, a Labour Party spokesman told us this: "We will welcome and support any independent investigation commissioned by Oldham Council, which puts victims' voices at its heart, following the example of Telford and Rotherham. We also continue to support wider work commissioned by Mayor Andy Burnham into child protection issues across Greater Manchester, following the review into historic safeguarding issues in Oldham, which was published in 2022. Labour, in opposition, called for and supported the national inquiry into child sexual abuse under Professor Alexis Jay, which concluded in 2022. The government, the Labour government, is now working at pace to implement the recommendations, including the duty to report."
Still watching? Well, I've got a quick ask for you. Recent UK, we're fighting the woke brigade and inspiring young Brits, but we need your help to go bigger. We're hosting a fundraiser and would love you to sign up and share the link on the big day. It's easy, it makes a massive impact, and there are prizes for top fundraisers. Click the Google form in the description to join us. Cheers very much. Let's keep going together.